Hey everybody, welcome back to X's4 Podcast. This is the Daily X, where we bring you news and discussions about your favorite Marvel comics, most notably the X-Men. I'm Nico, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at NicoAction. That's Nicoation. And today I'm here to kick off our coverage of the Hellfire Gala with Marauders number 21. The team came together to discuss this issue, featuring myself, Jonah, Kyle, Arturo, and John, and we took a look at the way that this title borrowed from some of the best elements of classic Claremont, some of the most recent bits of Hoxpox, as well as managed to blend in social media and fame culture in a way that brought the title somewhere brand new. It was really exciting to get to read, and we hope you guys enjoy as much as we enjoyed talking about it. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hey everybody, welcome back to X's4 Podcast. I'm Nico, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at NicoAction. That's Nicoation.
I'm Kyle. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Drantis82. It's Drantis82.
And I'm Arturo. You can find me at Mr. Toybox on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm Jonah. You can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at PeakJonah. That's P-E-A-K. And we hope you survive this experience just like all the guests of the Hellfire Gala.
And hopefully, like our guests that we have on the show today. Today we have with us John, lost in Krakoa.
Hi guys.
John, small anecdote for y'all. John and I are ex-Twitter friends who actually met in real life, IRL, when he came down to Miami, and we went out to a comic shop and had a great time and hung out, and now he's friend of the pod.
Glad to be here.
You're saying you had a Miami Hellfire Gala.
I mean, basically, it was a tiny one, but yeah, it was a 2-person, very exclusive
VIP.
Hellfire shenanigans.
So, John, I have to know a little bit about your X background, right? Like, everybody's welcome to be here no matter how much X background they got, whether, you're like the 1960s or you came in yesterday. There's room for every X fan. So, favorite X title, favorite X character, favorite current book.
My favorite X book would be Uncanny X-Force by Remender. And
Bold choice.
my favorite character, I
Bold.
think, might be Magneto. Yeah.
Round of applause.
But I stopped reading X books for a while until, like everyone with House of X and Powers of 10. And after that, I just started to, read everything. So I read everything Claremont, everything Simonson until the 90s. So I have nothing against the 90s, but it's not my thing.
Nope, it's very bad.
We're not going to start trashing the 90s, you guys. We're way too early into the show to start trashing the 90s. I will fight
I
all
read
of you
Morrison.
You're right. That's usually...
I read Morrison.
Morrison.
I read He Who Shall Not Be Named is Astonishing. I read Bendis. I read almost everything except 90s stuff.
And even then there is, for all the shit I like to give the 90s. And man, it turns out if you go back, I give the 90s shit like every episode. But there is an enormous amount of excellent X out there. So if you like the things that, Wheezy was setting up and that Chris Claremont was running for a long time, those threads do appear. Maybe a little bit more few and far between. You got to look to like Ben Robb's Excalibur. But in Arturo's defense, there is a lot to love about X-Men in the 90s. So I should probably ease up a little on it. But of course, we are here today to talk about, I guess, something that's kind of sort of the 80s, if you really think about it, right? Marauders number 21 is one of the most fascinating explorations of character and of story that Marvel's given us in quite some time. Now, this issue, like the majority of Marauders issues, is written by Jerry Dugan with art by Matteo Loli. Now, there is a backup story in here, which is written by Chris Claremont with art by John Bolton from Classic X-Men 7. We've actually discussed this story twice in the last month, and we've talked about this story 4 times in the 2.5-year history of this show. So we're probably not going to talk too much about Classic X-Men number 7's backup story, except to say, if you want to hear some exciting coverage of it, I do recommend checking out the segment between Nathan, our very own Arturo, and special guest Steve, where the 3 of them discussed what made that story sort of super special. Arturo, do you have any highlight moment you want to pick up on from that backup story for our listeners?
It's a really important story because it takes us to basically the inception of the Hellfire Club that we all, know and love, with Sebastian and Emma. And this was like their moment of seizing power. So it's a hell of a backup issue. There's so much packed into it. We talked a little bit about the recurring nightmare of having a sentinel show up and rip the ceiling off of wherever you are and attack. And that's a trope that I guess started back in that classic X-Men issue. So it's definitely worth checking out.
Now, I cannot stress that enough. If you do enjoy that story, you probably do want to check out a number of the other classic X-Men issues from around that time. There are more exciting Emma stories, as Jonah might be able to attest from when we originally covered those way back in the day. Jonah, was seeing this story come to its fruition and come to its due fulfilling in any way?
I am inclined to say yes, because I really appreciate that they're trying to drive I almost called him Shinobi after his son. No, they're trying to drive Shaw's character in a different way, and I think kind of giving life to this character that he had a relationship with, who died off in only a few panels and was never to be seen again, never to be heard again, never to be mentioned again, and have a lot of Shaw's characteristics and maybe even traits be around the death of Lourdes. I'm like, you know what? I really appreciate that they want to give Shaw this kind of character moment. I really do appreciate that this is what they want to do for him. And I think that it's really great to have another character who was kind of lost to the pages and lost to the ages be able to be seen and be heard and be given this new life for people who probably never read her. I imagine a lot of people probably never really knew about these classic X-Men backup issues and didn't even know that there was this character. There wasn't already another teleporter who is pretty strong in her own right, in that she can teleport vast differences with multiple people, and you don't see Kurt doing that. But it also makes me think of, well, what other classic X-Men backup issues should we talk about more? Should we talk about that camping trip where everybody just kind of picks on Jean, and Jean's just like, can everyone just leave me alone for like 3 minutes? And they're all like, but we're a family. And she's like, I guess you're right. Or that time that they go to
Oh,
a
you mean that
costume
issue that's
party?
basically X-Twitter? Everybody
Yes.
just picks on Gene all the fucking time, even though we're supposed to be a fucking family.
Or that time when they all went to a costume party and there was a guy who just wanted to murder someone. He was just as a clown. There was no other mutants, no special powers. He wasn't a supervillain. He was just a
A
clown.
murderous clown. Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to go to those. No. But we're going to focus on the exciting things that do come out of this issue. Now, I have a specific question. I couldn't help but notice that this is probably the most non-X characters I've seen in an X-Men issue in quite some time. As a matter of fact, this kind of feels more like a crossover, like in general, like a Marvel Universe crossover than anything. I wonder if that's sort of a reciprocity of the X-Men appearing so fluidly in the pages of King in Black, and sort of this reintegration of the mutant agenda into the larger picture of Marvel editorial publishing. Kyle, was it almost jarring at this point seeing the homogenization of the multiple offices into one title? Or have you been ready for this? Was your body prepared?
Oh boy. Okay. I'm going to say that it was jarring, but at the same time, I've been so prepared for the mutants to be a part of the rest of the world in general since the start of House of X. So yeah, I mean, we've been what, a year and a half now, where they've really kind of been on their own in their own little world on Krakoa and not really interacting with anybody, with the exception of King in Black. And yeah, seeing them actually working with all these other characters, it's kind of nice to see.
Now, John, you gave me a pretty good rundown of your X-Men experience. Are you super comfortable with the largeness of the Marvel Universe? Were these characters at home for you, or did you kind of have to dial into some MCU sort of knowledge to
No,
get the
I
vibe?
mean, I read a lot of Hickman's previous work and many Avengers run and things like that. So I was comfortable seeing Doom, seeing the F4, seeing the Avengers. So yeah, and it felt kind of great because Krakoa has been like on its own separate mini universe for the past 2 years. So I really liked seeing everyone come back and have Krakoa like rejoin everything what it means for the world, not just for mutants.
I was slightly less comfortable with all the cameos and appearances of like unknown people and celebrities. I am not good at this game. So I was struggling with like the game of like identifying who the hell is, these special stars or whatever, is not anything that I am good at.
Well, and I'm going to be honest, I don't dig the meta of that. There's something so dating and inherently zeitgeist of putting in that sort of iconography. There's one thing when in like Excalibur 24, Lois and Clark appear in, the background, and it's very clearly Lois and it's very clearly Clark Kent, and you know who these people are. It's obvious, right? But that's sort of a timeless idea of a fictionalized entity. There's something so much more era defining about these famous people right now. And I'm not necessarily saying that of the creators, because I'm a big fan of when creators find a little bit of room for themselves. But yeah, I was certainly a lot happier seeing the BDE, the Big Doom energy, than I was necessarily looking for.
Megan Rapahoe.
Yeah, if Megan Thee Stallion showed up, I would be like, fuck, that's all I want for the rest of the book. But I'm not like counting down the seconds for Patton Oswalt to stop by with an ice cream bar. Like, it's just not what I'm looking for.
See,
So,
I hated when I first heard of all these like celebrities and stuff, like my eyes rolled out of my head. But I gotta admit, I think it's cool the way it's being handled. I love that they're just literally like faces in the crowd. So yeah, I'll push back on that a little bit. I think yes, that can be a problem and it can date the work and put us like in a moment. But I think the way that they're doing it here, it's a little more evergreen. It's like if you recognize somebody, cool. Otherwise, it's literally just faces.
well, Jonah, you grew up with your favorite channel being Vine. So, talk to me about how you feel about this interpolation of fame culture into this sort of like metafiction, this super self aware, reflective of the world experience that X Men has grown to be.
Well, if Krakoa ends up anything like Vine, that means that it'll surely die out after when all its top members decide we want to get paid, but if you're not going to do it, we're moving to YouTube, or I guess Earth, regular Earth, not Krakoa anymore. And then Krakoa's be like, well, we can't survive without our top people, and then you just die. But then you come back as another app.
Hold on, pause. Did you just say Krakoa's be like? Because that's my new favorite phrase, and I'm getting a t shirt that says Krakoa's be like 1,000%.
Sure. But then Krakoa will come back but it's not quite exactly the same. That's what TikTok is. It's like some of the same energy, but it's really weird.
So
Anyway,
yeah. So what's your opinion on the fame culture of it?
I was getting there. I had to do a very quick, brief history of what happened to Vine.
You had to do a bit. I get it. Commit to the bit.
There's the very old adage, fame is fleeting. What is famous today is probably not going to be famous tomorrow. And I don't mind the dating of when this comes out with who's in the media, who are people talking about, they've done something special, or they've done something related to whether it's Marvel related work or just X-Men in general. I kind of wish that they use like fictional celebrities. Like we're in this expansive Marvel 616 Earth. Like I don't know. I guess I don't really have a problem with it, but I feel like there could have been more interesting people or people that are constantly in the vernacular. I think there were people there that even if I don't recognize them doesn't mean they don't have fame, but you're like, okay, it makes you wonder, how did you get an invite?
Yeah, I mean, I would not have minded seeing Henry Hellrung, who is the actor that played Iron Man in the Iron Man TV show, who ultimately became Tony Stark's sponsor and would go on to lead the book The Order. So, like, he is literally a celebrity in the Marvel Universe with hundreds of appearances. He wouldn't be a bad character to utilize for something like this. I mean, I see why Dazzler's not exactly on the list, like, for, like, oh, a celebrity, because she's a mutant. Like, this is her thing. She doesn't need the special invite. She is the celebration. How did the rest of you feel about this idea of fame culture, celebrity culture? Were you like me, where you were necessarily put off, or did you get won over like Arturo?
I think for me, the dating of the book will be felt like when we reread the event next year or 5 years from now. And also, I didn't like how, like, Marauders is a very global book going everywhere, right? And it felt to me that all the celebs that were in the event were very just American. So it felt really weird
Damn,
to me
that's a
that,
great
like,
read.
for example, they have a soccer player. When you have soccer players that are like the top accounts on Instagram and social media, and they were not there. And we have like other very famous people, like not even British celebs, you know. So it felt kind of weird to me that Krakoa being so global, we didn't have any global presence, just American presence, aside from like the ambassadors and representatives.
Americans thinking that they're the center of the universe? Surely not. Never. We would never.
What?
I just edited our coverage of Terry Bloss's Reptile, and the best line in the entire first issue is they go to an open air market, and Reptile says, "Wow, this is like Mexican Disneyland." And one of his Mexican cousins from the area goes, "No, Disneyland is Mexican Disneyland." And it's just one of those things where, like, every now and then white people kind of need to hear it. And it's a really important realization. I'm so removed from a lot of the idea of these celebrities. I'd never even considered how exclusionary the list was, because I didn't really connect with the idea of the list. So that's a really amazing perspective I hadn't had.
The
Now,
list is weird. Let's just call it out. The list is
Mm-hmm.
weird. It's not like let's just, look at the past few red carpet events in real life and pull celebrities from that. It's like it's just a weird list. It's not exactly people that you would, necessarily, I don't know. It's a very strange collection of people.
I want to point out that I think something was really missing from this, and I'm like only being a little funny. I'm seriously only being a little funny. One of the most successful events the TV has been able to produce in the last handful of years is the Doggy Bowl,
Puppy
like
Bowl.
the Puppy Bowl that goes on during the Super Bowl, where it's this sort of animal, funny, cute version of this big thing that generates a lot of excitement and a lot of media attention. I actually would have loved like a Hellfire Gala Animal Edition headed up by Jeff the Land Shark, and he could be in a fabulous little suit that matches Emma's. And I just love Jeff the Land Shark so much. I just reread Deadpool just for more Jeff. So like Jeff's on my mind, but like Jeff and Dupe, not that I'm saying Dupe isn't an animal, but let's not call Dupe a person. So, you know, I do think there's a lot of scope.
We draw the line. We draw the line at duping a person.
He's a
Absolutely not.
transdimensional vortex. He is a transdimensional vortex who contains an infinite space inside of himself with an he is biochemical, created in a lab, but he is actually based on an existing creature, which is why there's also a mother of Dupe. And it's a really complicated mythos that I'm really glad Pete Milligan is coming to do more.
Do you guys know who is a person? Her name is Tempo, and she was one of
Holy
my
shit.
favorite little cameos in this issue. Was seeing Tempo welcome Steve Rogers to Krakoa with a flower. I'm so excited to see more Tempo. We all know she's coming in the pages of Marauders, and I felt very well fed seeing her on panel.
Well, and
Right?
there's a magic to that, because she had been like not to put it weird, but she'd been like an elite level terrorist for a little bit there, right? Like she was like she was part of a group that was real good at being real bad. And for Steve Rogers to know who she is in this capacity and let her pin this flower on him in this beautiful way. It's the magnanimity of Steve Rogers personified in the idea of a creature who deserves the redemption of innocence. And it's that sort of specificity that Jerry Dugan is able to pull out with a single panel that is part of what's made Marauders such an exciting 21 issue ride. It really is the right emotional character beat for the right emotional character response. And that moment made all of my insides tingle almost as much as them finding a way for my beautiful Robbie Reyes to have a line of dialogue in an issue that he shouldn't have even fucking been in. So
I loved that little bit. That was a nice little line there from him, and Thor's response that every bar is open when Thor's involved.
So I do want to ask a question. How many people here enjoyed the X-Men Fantastic Four miniseries?
I loved it. I remember Twitter almost burned down during that run, and there was a whole lot of discourse for better or worse. But I gotta admit, like, I loved it. It was a little simple, I gotta say, but I, like so many of us, hate and resent so much what Dan Slott has done with Franklin. And I love that Jerry took a moment and a beat to address that in a way. And I trust Kitty when she says everything works out in the end, bub.
You know, I wish I hadn't paid $20 for it, but I just reread that when I reread Deadpool. I'm rereading a lot of this era to get excited for the Hellfire Gala's conclusion, to understand what's coming next. I have found the word Inferno has appeared 7 times by X-Men #4. So, like, things have been burning for a while, right? But I very specifically resent paying $20 for it. I'm not gonna fucking lie. It should have been an annual, but I liked it.
The retcon makes the event even worse because I wasn't like the biggest fan of it,
Yes.
and then the retcon made it completely nonsensical. So yeah, it sucks even more now. You know, I didn't like it,
Well,
but
yeah, yeah.
I did like
I think
that
that's very
Dugan's
valid.
kind of like hinting, wink, wink, that Franklin's gonna be a mutant again in the future. That's great because we know Slot's gonna leave someday. So and then everything goes back to the status quo.
Dan Slott leaving a book after offensive critical reaction? No way. Now, so here's a question. I brought up this Fantastic Four X-Men miniseries because I have to be honest, Reed Richards giving angry daddy vibes to Xavier in his cute little helmet is the hottest thing I have ever seen Reed Richards do outside of convincing Sue Storm to sleep next to him. I am telling you that was the hottest Reed Richards I can conjure with my giant brain. So, because I have a huge head. So, I really loved that moment. And I did think the kitty moment with Franklin was cute. Now, Kyle, I remember you had a lot of feelings about Kitty being so well utilized in terms of Franklin. And, you had made comments at the time. It was important to see Kitty be the one who interacted with Franklin because she's one of the only X-Men we had seen as a child. So, my question for you is, do you feel that this emotional reunion is enough to pay off how long it's been since we've seen any further on this idea of Kitty mentoring the children?
I'm gonna say no. I need a little more. I like that she's kind of taken on this auntish mentor towards Franklin, but just seeing the way that Xavier responds to Franklin, and it just kind of I wish that she could have done a little more to call him out on that. But I understand that it's in the middle. It's the beginning of the gala, and you really don't want to be making any kind of scenes.
Oh, I agree with you. Don't want to be making any kind of scenes. Speaking of scene, Arturo, I never like to tell anybody what to cosplay because I don't think that's attractive, right? Telling someone else who to pretend to be is weird. But I kind of desperately need you to cosplay this Stephen Strange. Like, you got the look for it, right? I did think that the Stephen Strange inclusion coming right around the announcement of the death of Doctor Strange in September is sort of an interesting, bold choice. Knowing that Magic and Doctor Strange kind of are the two characters that I would connect, did anybody else feel that Doctor Strange just being at the gala just so uneventfully felt like either more has to come or that was a strange little one inclusion?
Oh, there's more coming for sure. There's some interplay there. Like we've seen Doctor Strange on Krakoa once maybe.
Yeah.
He had that interaction with Cable and or possibly with Kid Strife. Let's just put that out there. And got to keep my fires burning. Yeah, there's definitely more coming. I think Ileana is a front runner for potential Sorcerer Supreme or Sorceress Supreme, the next one. So yeah, I think there's going to be a whole lot more to Stephen Strange.
Now, John, are you a Doctor Strange guy? He's really polarizing. Is something I did not know. As a big Doctor Strange guy, I didn't realize so many people thought he was really annoying. So, like, how do you feel about Doctor Strange, and how do you feel about magic in in your mutants in general.
I enjoy magic with mutants. That's fun, as we know from Excalibur back in the day with Davis and Claremont. But I'm not really a big Strange head. 'Cause I don't think I've ever read a Doctor Strange run. Maybe the one with Doctor Doom. That's it. So yeah.
Interesting.
But I would be very excited after the What If magic from back in the day that Ileana takes a mantle.
Yeah.
That would be great if
Yeah.
Stranger dies. But we know there's a movie coming, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be dead for too long. I feel like I also think, if Doctor Strange even dies, anybody who's been following Doctor Strange Damnation and the events surrounding Mephisto as he's trapped in the hotel from hell, right? I feel like we're likely to see Doctor Strange trapped in Mephisto's resort than we are to see him truly dead for too long, right? Especially with that movie
But
coming out. So I'm
I
with
want
you
to
on
throw
that
out
for
a
sure.
dark horse candidate
Mephisto's resort.
for Sorceress Supreme, but it's gonna be
Oh,
like
who you got?
very weird. But it'd be great if Amanda Sefton was the next Sorceress.
Oh,
Oh,
I've already begged Bob
Oh.
Quinn to please put her in Way of X somewhere. I begged. We still DM, so I occasionally message him, do this. So, like, I get
We
it.
keep loving.
Amanda
Somewhere-
Sefton was so great.
Somewhere Nathan is listening to this episode and squealing. He's very happy.
Oh
to
my
hear
gosh, guys, I'm so excited. I really hope Amanda Sefton comes back.
it.
Now, I do want to bring up something really lovely from the 90s that actually is a touch-tonable piece. Honestly, that one-page reunion between Sean and Emma was a lot more
Oh
important to
my
me than I thought it
God.
would be.
Yes, that was
I didn't
so
think
good.
I would have a reaction. I really thought that would just wash over me and I would message Josh about it or something. But like I actually felt kind of like, oh my God, I'm 15 again. Like I really felt taken back to the end of Gen X and feeling like they never got their final say. And it was just really great. I was really happy to see that moment.
Well, and that moment included wait, what was it? That Emma has sent him 2 invites.
Yeah.
So what are our bets on that? I think one invite is to the gala, and the other one is either to the Marauders team or the Hellfire Trading Club.
Yeah, that's what I
I
thought.
believe it's to the Marauders team.
Yeah, especially now that Storm has vacated her spot.
They're going to need somebody with a big cape that Dave Cockrum designed.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Why else would you have a cape? That's when X-Men have capes and don't fly. I'm like, what's the point? It's just going to get caught on things. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
No capes.
Well, you said that
Now-
you almost had to text Josh when you read that. I nearly had to text Josh when we got to the
Rhapsody?
the musical guest star Rhapsody. You guys,
Yeah.
I
I got a message from him.
Bro, I hope that nobody spoiled it for him. It was a miracle that I was able to like read it digitally before anybody spoiled it. That made my day. You could go back into the archives of the show, and there was definitely an episode where we were talking about it, and we were talking specifically about Rhapsody, like just a great 90s character that had a not even you can't even say a moment. I think she was literally in one issue.
I think it's like 1 or 2 issues. That's
One
it.
or
Yeah.
2 issues, never heard from again, but she made a hell of an impression on me. And
Like Lourdes Chantal.
yes, and just seeing her, like, I don't need her on a team, I don't need her doing anything. I want to see that side of Krakoa where it's just mutants living their lives, using their gifts to like make art and music and love. And this hit all the right buttons for me.
I want them to be an occupational therapy team.
Yes.
I want them to teach injured people to use their hands again. I want the idea of Krakoan medicine to go a step further. Because as a musician who, like, Jonah will tell you, like, Jonah has said, hey, teach me some piano. And I've been like, sure, kiddo, let me teach you some piano. And, like, as a musician who can best express my feelings through song, like, I actually sometimes struggle to express myself. But if I can get to a piano or a guitar, if I can put my fingers down, I can say it. And, like, I can create something that says how I feel. The idea that the people I want to share that with, that I can't, like, it actually choked me up. Like, that is my dream, to be able to help everybody understand why I play piano, why I sing, why I play violin, why I play guitar. Like, I want people to feel that, and that Jerry Dugan was able to give everyone the feeling of sitting third chair, of being in the drum line, of singing tenor in the chorus. Like, there was something palpably honest about a desire to exchange art that I felt from a creator who wanted others to feel the same. And it was really moving.
It was also a hell of a flex too, because yes, we're using our bountiful mutant gifts to like have you experience, creating whatever, a symphony. But the implication there is also we took over all your minds. It's a
Yeah.
hell of a flex.
And I thought Ben Grimm being so kind about it. Like, I love me some Fantastic Four, but like, I've never been the biggest Ben Grimm fan. I talked about it extensively on my show with my husband Kevo, HTML, Husbands Talking More or Less, where we covered every live action iteration of the Fantastic Four ever. And in it, I said that basically, while he's always the best good guy, I think the only member of the Fantastic Four I care for less out of like the 8 of them is Johnny. Ben just doesn't do it for me. He's too, I'm gruff. Like, it's just not my cuppa. But the idea that he said, I wish Aunt Petunia could hear me in tandem with, because like we've literally this year, well, not this year, but 2 years ago, we saw Ben be like, get the fuck out of my head. Like, there was just something. Jerry Dugan, every time I get to cover a Jerry Dugan book, and I don't put myself on Marauders much because this is all I do, he gets these character moments that open my heart. And like him being like, nobody plays craps without me. That was such a great moment. That was a Logan moment. That was a Ben Grimm moment. I just thought it was the best of Why You Go Drinking with Captain America. He just gets me, and these emotional little micro moments, or like Emma and Christian, or did anybody else have any other like really oh my god my heart moments?
I like seeing the AIM guy again and how
Yes.
Yes.
I love that we're not even bothering giving
Just
him
AIM guy.
a name. I love that he's not like the prime, main AIM guy. He's just an AIM henchman that has tangled with the. I love that.
Amy.
Not Amy.
That's his name, Amy.
I hate you.
No, you don't. You love me.
I really
You're
do.
like,
Wait, does
Jonah,
that
that's
make
a
you-
really, really
If it's
clever
a
joke.
guy, does that make him Amy Man? I'll see myself out till Tuesday.
Leave. Or as Doom said, sentimental rube.
Doom was fantastic.
Oh my god, all of the Doom this issue.
Doom, okay, wait. The best comedy moment of this entire issue, I gotta give it to Doom and the Shi'ar and Emma.
Emma's face.
Oh my god.
That I laughed out loud. Like that was just so great. So Doom is talking about like what the mutants have done here, and Emma says, it's not like we're conquering the Earth. And then next panel, the Shi'ar comes to express their congratulations for conquering your home planet.
On that page, I thought there was a nice little callback to, I think, House of X #1, when Doom says, "You say man as though I am less, not more," which is very similar to what Scott said to Reed back in House of X. I kind of like seeing that, just like Doom being ultra serious, and his next panel is laughing. I thought it was pretty nice to see that, like two facets of Doom.
And I feel like we also kind of got that in how Reed reacted differently to Xavier this time as well. I meant to touch on that. The line between Reed and Doom is so slim. It's sort of like the line between Charles and Eric. But once you get Eric and Victor in the same place, how much crueler Doom is really pops out. And the idea that we're comparing Scott's behavior to Doom's behavior, I do want to just give a quick shout out back to our 4th episode of this show. So way back in 2018, where Kyle and I did the Marvel Villains team up for the Champions, where
yes.
Magneto and Doom fought, and Magneto is just like, I mean, like, I've never seen Magneto be like, will you piss on me, daddy, before? But like, how hard Magneto got owned by Doom is tragically funny.
Yeah, that issue was it was tragic.
It was a choice.
Second opinion for a very funny moment is when the psychic butterflies were being sent about, and Victor Von Doom smacks his butterfly away and says, "Ah!"
Doom is
because
great.
he is, just metal Scrooge. I'm
Oh,
waiting
he's
for him to
Metal
say
Scrooge.
"Bah humbug."
He's Scrooge McDoom. I really get that. I really now desperately need a Christmas Carol, a fantastic Christmas Carol. Oh my god, I need it so bad. Oh,
Can
I hate
can
everything.
can
I
I
love that you named it right in the midst of that. I could hear the epiphany. Oh, it's a fantastic Christmas Carol.
A
Yep,
fantastic Christmas Carol. Can I pose a question for what I thought was a very interesting moment?
hit us always. It's a round table.
So I make it no secret. Nico has started me on new Grant Morrison's new X-Men. So obviously, a lot of those characters introduced there hold a very special place in my heart. I'm still waiting for Dummy to be revived. I will never stop it. That's my new.
Dummy.
That is my new pots and pans of putting Elsa and everything. Dummy revive Dummy. He doesn't do anything. He literally cannot do anything. Revive Dummy. He deserves it.
Dummy.
That's his actual name.
I
It's
thought Dummy was a girl,
no.
or it
So
was
oh,
just a pink suit. Is that
Yeah.
my heteronormativity just creeping in? I totally thought Dummy
I
was a girl.
One of
no.
the big things about new X-Men is there's a lot of color contrast. Glob is also pink, and Cassandra Nova is usually draped in shadow because she is darkness, even though she is shown exclusively in shades of white and beige. So, like, there's a lot of color story to new X-Men that functions on multiple levels, which is why Grant Morrison was so obsessed with having the art be as consistent to the arc as he could. There's just that run of I think New Worlds where it's a bunch of different people.
Yes, even just another small counterpoint to that, Basilisk, a character who is very larger and imposing to that special class, was drawn in very soft pastel colors.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but among those characters that were introduced were my Stepford Cuckoos, who I love and enjoy and hate their names, government names, non-Krakoan names.
You
But
don't like the spice of it.
no, let her be Mindy. Let her be Mindy. Spimps. Anyway, Spimps. I want to know what everybody thinks the moment with Wilhelmina
Ooh.
means.
Yes.
Because
Okay, let's get into it.
my thought process is Wilhelmina the sixth Stepford Cuckoo?
Yes.
Because if you look at the
Oh.
panel of Wilhelmina on that page, and then you look at all of the cuckoos, it's kind of the same. They look exactly the same. Not to say that every white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes looks the same, but like these 6 white girls with blonde hair and blue eyes look the same.
Yes.
I'm going to go on record as saying anything that brings my precious Hellfire babies, anything that gets my wonderful Cade that I love more than is socially acceptable onto the page to harass my precious Quentin, anything that makes that situation worse for Quentin is my number one. So I would really like it if she, one of Quentin's sworn enemies, is the lost sister of Quentin's girlfriend. I would love that.
I would just I would love like if it revisits kind of that the Weapon X. What was the
War
Cuckoo's
Song?
weapon
Oh, they're Weapon
14, I think?
13?
14, I think.
13 because 15 is the world, so
They're
they're either 13 or
14.
14.
They're
For
14. Because it's
um,
XIV. I remember IV. Yeah, it's definitely 14, I promise.
I
yes,
believe you.
Yeah, I think that's I think you nailed it, Jonah. I think that is a 6 cuckoo.
because what else could she possibly have? What is possible that she could have forgotten that everybody else in Hamas Verandi knows and doesn't care about? That's so important to specifically the cuckoos. I can't really think of anything else theory wise that she wouldn't just be a missing cuckoo. Like it honestly doesn't. It wouldn't surprise me if there was another one.
I can't think of a good reason why if Emma Frost had all of her eggs harvested straight up the boot out her ute, I don't see why there can't be a 6th cuckoo. I would love it if there were a bunch more cuckoos because you know what? And I don't mean this like weird, but having just reread Hoxpox, one of the things that stood out to me, number one, was how much they talk about going into space, let's move the mutants into space. If the announcement isn't that the mutants are moving to Mars, where the sinister breeding pits are that go horribly wrong and lead to the downfall of mutancy, I don't know why we're going anywhere. But one of the other things is they say that they have not done a whole lot of experimentation with putting brains in other bodies or having 2 of the same up at once. But the cuckoos, they're a hive mind in a lot of ways, even though they have unique identity. You probably could just keep adding cuckoos and it would be at least interesting to Beast.
Well, and even to that end, it could be a Laura Gabby situation where there are technically just clones of Emma, but you can have some of them be older, some of them be younger. They're still essentially the same character, even if they have different characteristics to define them and make them at least unique enough to distinguish between readers. But like, if that's what it is, I am very excited by the idea of Emma having basically like being the White Queen, having a reign of princes and princesses in a way that's similar to how Logan has a bunch of princesses and princesses.
I think it's also important with the Stepford Cuckoos that Emma and Steve are hanging out because of that famous theory that Steve is like their father. So that's another little twist.
What?
You never heard?
What?
Well, because they're all so Cap is weapon 1.
Mhm.
And the Cuckoos are weapon 14. And Emma Frost was stolen by the Weapons Plus program while she was in her coma during from Uncanny 282 to Uncanny, what the fuck is it? Like, what is early Frost? Like 311, 312, right? So she's in that 30 issue coma. They stole her eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And they produced the Cuckoos at a Weapons Plus facility. And the people whose DNA they have on file are like Wade Wilson, Victor Creed. There's so many Victors. Logan, Steve, Isaiah. So the theory is, where did all of these blonde, blue-eyed people come from?
I love that. And I just want to say, like, I sometimes wake up at night in a cold sweat worrying about the future timeline where Emma Frost and Tony Stark hook up. I hate that. I never want to go to their wedding. So this issue, the little flirtation between Emma and Steve,
Oh my God.
honestly, like, I don't hate that. I still ship Emma with Scott. I'm down for Emma to have a bunch of, like, boy toys, a little Namor here and there, a little, whatever. But hey, Steve Rogers, I think that could be kind of hot. Certainly, and Steve is certainly better than Iron Man.
Everyone's
God damn,
better than
if
Tony.
she ever hooks up with Tony Stark, like, that would just ruin everything. So I kind of love this.
Too bad he Steve thinks about her like his mom.
Don't kink shame.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work for her.
Listen, I don't know if you've been on the internet recently, Kyle, because it's this newfound thing called the internet. I don't know if everybody has access to it.
Wait, what?
But people have been very into this Resident Evil character who they call like
yes.
Dami Mommy Vampire. So like Dami Mommies might be having their moment in the sun right now.
Yeah, but it's not Emma's thing.
Hey, maybe it wasn't Emma's thing till now.
Oh, that's a good point. Give her a couple drinks.
Now,
she doesn't drink, she just likes to have fun.
I have a global question. What was your favorite look in this issue, right? Because we know a number of people have a number of looks, and we know that a number of characters aren't even in like their formal look yet. For me, I thought that Emma's opening page looks in this issue really set the stage for an over-the-top sort of fantasy. One of the things that I think made this issue so special to me was that I kept, even though I know better, even though I've read what's coming and, I knew what they were doing, I still went into this issue thinking like, oh, great, there's going to be a big fight and we're going to get stuck in this big fight for 9 fucking issues. It's going to be X of Swords again. And no, this was actually really clever character building. Again, I was really impressed by the subtlety of the Christian thing, because the Marauders have a spaceship that Christian knows how to drive. So by putting Christian with the Shi'ar, she's literally taking advantage of the fact that her brother has stepped up his game so much that he knows how to work with spaceships. So like, everything about this was so spectacular. But I think that first page, yeah, Kate looks cool, but Kate doesn't look like she's in something Callisto wouldn't wear on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? And Sebastian, I just can't even fucking stand him. But like, Emma Frost in this fucking cloud, number one, she looks like a fucking Pokemon up here right now. Is that an Altera, Jojo? Is that an Altera that she looks like?
Altaria.
Altaria, yeah, she looks like an Altaria, okay? And it just made me go somewhere else. It took me to this new place that I didn't know my X-Men could go, and I really loved it. What did you guys think about Matteo Lolli's interpretation of these fantastical outfits initially designed by Russell Dowderman, as well as the rest of the cast of the
I
X-Men?
want to talk about Emma's final look in like the penultimate page, because it's
Yeah.
very
Do it, go for it.
a lot more revealing than I thought it would be. So it's kind of funny.
Oh
but
yeah,
Yeah, that's them's
but
some
it's also
titties.
very in character for her. You can look, but you can never touch, you know? So I
exactly.
thought that's kind of my
Because you can
favorite
look
look
right
in the
through
sense
her.
of how it relates to Emma's character. Because all the best looks were not here. Well, maybe Jean's look, but yeah.
Yeah, I love that Emma's look is like a progressive reveal. You know, she starts off with the coat, then for me, it's her second look. Like, it's seeing her walk around with this long train, and I love her fascinator. Like, she looks so damn cool. And then, yeah, I agree. Then her final look is definitely like the most, weaponized sexuality of Emma Frost. She looks perfect.
For me, it's kind of split. I love Emma's second look.
Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah,
Oh my god,
it's so good.
she's like a slutty Southern lady.
But
It's definitely her party, like
oh
every
yeah,
panel that she's in, she just looks like, yeah, she's just the boss. She's so
yeah,
good.
and it's like each of her outfits is a progression of the previous one. So
Hmm.
you had the giant cloak that she was wearing before that she now drags, and her shoes are covered. She had the crystalline shoes originally, and then those got covered up by the whatever those things are. And then she turns into her full diamond form. So yeah, I really enjoy that. But on a more kind of symbolic look, I like Shinobi's that dissolving from white to black look. It's
Hmm.
very plain, but at the same time, it kind of makes it feel like he's in between two loyalties.
And I think it speaks to the heart of his like the aspirant he is, right? Because he doesn't want to be the Black King. He's made it clear he wants to own the Hellfire Club. He's
Mm-hmm.
not concerned with one seat. So I really love that read on, the chiaroscuro of his design being sort of imminent to his character. I think that's a really great way to read that. Jonah, did any of the looks just come up and bite you on the face?
Well, I mean, when Emma Frost has been serving you charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent since day one, and
1979, going strong.
where's the body? We found the body. Obviously Emma's looks. I want to give a special notion. I don't know. I liked the concept, so I was really interested to see how it would come out. And I really kind of love Magic's look, and that's not because I love my dark magical girl and that I stand everything that Ileana does, but more so I think it's a really great interpretation of a very avant-garde demon look that she would come up with and use her kind of her magic to have her horns be in place. So it's something I was really appreciative of, and I'm really excited to get to see more of it in different situations. And one more that I was on the fence about, and I didn't know if I really liked. I'm kind of now digging Scott's. I don't know what it is about it, but like something about it to me just says this is high art, this is camp, this is fashion.
I think things move differently than they stand. That's something that, the opposite can also be true. Seeing something in motion can transform it. I think when we see on occasion sort of like a flat rendering of a visual iconography, right? Like a sort of this is the outfit. It sits on the page as a design. But when you see it interpolated into sort of the grander scale of its functional use, it transforms the idea of it from lines and angles to a functional costume. And I think that is something that is occasionally lacking from these sort of press drops where they're like, look at the costumes. It's not the same thing as look at the character wearing the costume. And that's something that's transformative.
I would like to talk about a character wearing a costume, and that
Is
character,
it
go. Who do you
who is
think it
it?
is?
I'm really upset about that one goddamn Canadian panel, and I have to talk about it for 45 minutes. So, like, if it's not the Canadian panel, I'm fine with it. But like,
No,
I have huge problems with Heather and Mac breaking up. I have huge problems with divorcing Heather and Mac in a panel like that. Huge problems. Anyway,
well, I'm sorry for that. No, that's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Red Bishop.
oh,
Bishop
so hot,
looks so goddamn hot. Matteo
so hot.
Loli deserves an award for drawing like the best textured black hair I think ever. Like Bishop's fade, Bishop looks so damn hot. I can't take my eyes off Bishop when he's on panel. That's where I'm at.
And I feel like those glasses oftentimes get relegated to like, oh, those are Scott's glasses. No, even though it's still that same sort of ruby quartz looking motherfucker, this is so clearly Bishop. Not just obviously, but like there is something that this look, an open jacket, this is his look now. And it's just fan-fucktastic how much personality comes across. John, have you been a fan of Bishop, or are you newer to Bishop? I know you said you skipped the 90s, but I wasn't sure if you would perhaps pick back up in time for Bishop's turn in the Claremont Revolution or his Extreme X-Men and
So
Uncanny X-Men.
I've been introduced to Bishop three times. First in Age of Apocalypse, right before, because I have read Age of Apocalypse. My second big intro to him was Second Coming and Messiah War and all that, and Messiah
Oh,
Complex.
I'm so sorry.
yeah, for me, Bishop's until this time has always been a villain. So
Wow, that's
because
fascinating, bro. That's
I
fascinating.
well, and some of Age of X-Men where he was with Jean, but yeah, for me, Bishop's until this time was always like sort of a villain for me.
Meanwhile, I have to feel like, knowing sort of your, not spotty, but Marvel Unlimited enhanced reading experience, Kyle, I have to feel like you barely know Bishop as a villain, if at all.
Yeah, not at all. I really have only had Bishop in, let's see,
Marauders?
Marauders. Yeah. I don't think I've hit anything else where he's been a major player.
Oh,
Well,
you
everybody who
sweet
needs-
summer child.
Yeah, everyone else who needs some Bishop, if I may, it's a little bit hard to get your hands on the hardcover of Bishop's Crossing, which is the initial issues he's in. It's not great characterization, but it's certainly the focal point of his backstory. If you're looking for strong Bishop, I would take a look at any time Claremont writes him. There is something very bold and noble about Claremont's interpretation of Bishop.
I still do not like Iceman's luck.
Oh, that's controversial. Yeah, I mean, it's
Controversial yet brave.
controversial yet brave. I get that it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I like seeing some of the boys, playing with gender and clothes and just like having fun with it. Like Christian's look, also not exactly, a suit and tie. I'm into it. I'm into a boy in a skirt.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. I don't know if I'm a fan of the design. But something that I really do appreciate about the entirety of what it seems like the Hellfire Gala is doing is that we're going to get like bits and pieces a little bit at a time of what's exactly going on, because at the end of this issue, it's after midnight and everybody's leaving and going home, but it's like, no, tons of shit has gone down already and we have to see how everything's playing out.
For me, the defining line was at the end when Emma's speaking with the Brazilian ambassador, and the ambassador says, "We will
Yes.
galvanize humanity in a way it never was to confront the threat posed by mutant kind." So whatever is revealed in the next few issues, especially Planet Size, it's going to be really, really huge.
Hey guys, if you like that cut from X's4 Podcast, you'll be sure to like some of our other materials. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out these other amazing videos here at X's4 Podcast.